is really emblematic of how the modern day Republican Party grift works. What these guys are really up to. First of all, after the 2020 election, Ron DeSantis said, hey, no fraud here in Florida. We elected nothing but Republicans, which was by and large true. There were a few Democrats who got elected, but you know what I mean. Then he says, and by the way, this is after he had purged 700,000 people off the voting rolls in Florida before the election. But then he turns around and says, but election fraud is a big problem going forward. We had no problem here with my getting elected. And it turns out that there is an aspect of election fraud that is being committed in Florida and in other states, by the way. But Florida was like the epicenter for it. There were 3 examples of this last year. And the main one was this guy, Alex Rodriguez. Now, Alex Rodriguez is, well, let me back up a little bit. There is a state senator. His name is Jose Rodriguez. His name is Jose Javier Rodriguez. Okay, he's a well-known state senator. He's a Democrat. He was a member of the Florida State Senate. Florida Power and Light doesn't apparently like what he's up to. This is according to a new investigation that was just released by the Orlando Sentinel. And I'm quoting this off a post by Blue Tuesday on dailycoz.com. It's titled, Ron DeSantis and Dark Money are at the center of Florida's real election fraud scandal. So you got a state senator and you got a local power company that's pissed off at him because, he's in favor of green energy and those kinds of things. And so apparently Florida Power and Light helped fund a group called Grow United and sent them lots of money and millions of dollars to the consultants who run the organization. Grow United goes out and finds this guy by the name of Alex Rodriguez, same last name as the state senator, who pled guilty to fraud charges last August for accepting $44,000 in exchange for running for office against State Senator Jose Javier Rodriguez. And the state senator lost the election by 32 votes. Alex got 6,000 votes. People voted for Rodriguez thinking they were voting for Rodriguez. 6,000 of them, which caused the Democrat to lose to his Republican opponent, who was not Rodriguez. This guy was just a spoiler in there, right? Caused Senator Rodriguez to lose to his Republican opponent, and his Republican opponent, of course, is all in on whatever Florida Power and Light wants. That's what they're going to get. So the State Election Commission looked at this. Now, keep in mind, the State Election Commission is basically DeSantis's people. And the State Election Commission looked at this and says, yeah, this Alex Rodriguez guy, he was not a politician. He had no intention of serving. His name was on the ticket just to create confusion in the minds of voters, which worked. Got the Republican elected, got the Democrat kicked out of office, the Rodriguez Democrat. And they said to the governor, because they don't have the power to enforce the law, that's with the executive branch, that's the governor's office. They said to the governor's office, you should fine this guy $20,000, this Alex Rodriguez guy, this guy who, the front group for Florida Power and Light put up. You should fine him $20,000 and you should censure him. In other words, publicly out him, publicly condemn him. Publicly state, as the state of Florida officially saying, we don't like this. These are called ghost candidates or straw candidates, where they have the exact same name as the person who, as one of the candidates who's running, and their only reason for being on the ballot is not to win an election, not to change the terms of the debate of the election, not to raise issues or make points. The only reason they're in the election is to confuse people on voting day. That's it. And the State Election Commission recommended to Ron DeSantis, you need to nail this guy. $20,000 fine, public censure. That was in October. Then came November, and Ron DeSantis did not even acknowledge that they had made this recommendation to him. Then December ended, and now we're in January. And still, Ron DeSantis has not acknowledged that this happened and that he should do anything about it. Turns out, according to this article, Florida Power & Light is the single biggest political donor in the entire state. State Representative Anna Escamani, who is one of the main critics of Florida Power & Light, but at least gets elected in a district that's not close enough where a game like this could be played. She came out and she said, DeSantis accepts hundreds of thousands of dollars from political committees connected with Associated Industries of Florida, an organization funded by Florida Power & Light. Not only does he, that would be DeSantis, not only does he engage in dark money politics, but he signs every bill Florida Power & Light has sent to his desk, too. She and other lawmakers in the Florida legislature have requested that Florida Power & Light undergo an audit because they're taking taxpayer money. And they don't think that that taxpayer money should go to ghost candidates. Ain't gonna happen. DeSantis won't even discuss that. And this may be why. On January 1st of this year, the average electric bill in Florida went up by $20 per person, right, or per household, right across the state. A massive rate increase, a $1.5 billion rate increase. Local governments around the state were saying, hey, wait a minute, why are we sending all this money to Florida Power & Light? If we could just let people put solar on their roofs, we can diminish the revenue going to Florida Power & Light and diminish our carbon footprint and make our communities more resilient so that the next time there's a hurricane that comes through that takes out our power for weeks at a time, people will still have power in their individual homes. Let's do this. And Ron DeSantis says no. In fact, he signed legislation that forbids utility companies, that bans local governments. Let me describe this better. Say you live in a town in Florida, and the local power company wants to build a coal-fired power plant. And people in your town get together and say, you know, we don't want the poison, we don't want the fly ash, we don't want the pollution, we don't want the expense. We'd rather have windmills or solar, or we'd rather have natural gas. What the Florida legislature did was pass a bill saying that individual towns, counties, municipalities may not pass legislation forbidding coal-fired power plants or other dirty forms of power. You may not do this. And thus, now that they've got the market cornered, they've got the cities at their mercy, Florida Power & Light says, hey, we want an extra $1.5 billion. And sure enough, starting a week ago, they're getting it. This is what happens when you put Republicans in charge of states. Republicans who are the sold out, bought off political prostitutes of large, dirty industries. This is exactly what you get. It should not surprise us.